Thank you again for joining the Getting Started with Product Plan webinar. My name is Jim Semick, and we'll go ahead and get started here. Today on the webinar, we'll talk about Product Plan and how to get started building beautiful product roadmaps. I'm a co-founder of Product Plan, and with me here today is Ian Geiger from our marketing department.
Hello, everybody.
And we'll take questions throughout the webinar today. So use the questions section of the GoToWebinar side panel to enter your questions, and we'll try to address those during the session. So if there's anything you'd like us to cover in particular, please make sure and ask that, and we'll get that covered. We'll also save a few minutes towards the end of the session for answering your questions. Today, we'll talk about how to set up your roadmap in Product Plan, how to build roadmaps, so some of the process and the different elements that you have to build and share out your roadmap. We'll talk about the different ways of sharing, as well as how to export your roadmap into an image file or a PDF and as an Excel spreadsheet. We'll use our master plan feature to merge multiple roadmaps together. This is the master plan feature is a great way of rolling up multiple roadmaps into that single portfolio view. We'll talk about how to use our parking lot feature to track future opportunities, and we'll show you how to use the planning board to prioritize future items, as well as compare future initiatives with items that you already have on the roadmap in order to decide whether you want to modify your roadmap in the future. We have a Jira integration that lets you connect the big picture of Product Plan to the details that are contained in Jira. So we'll make sure and cover that. And as I mentioned, we'll take time to answer your questions. So first of all, a little bit about Product Plan. We've talked with literally hundreds of different product managers and product teams and marketing teams, and they all tell us that product roadmaps are hard. The process of creating product roadmaps and spreadsheets and using dull presentations, it just takes much too much time, and it takes too much time to update the roadmaps. It takes forever to get consensus about what priorities to put on the roadmap in the first place. And then people often find when they send out their roadmaps that people still don't know what the current plan is, and they don't know which plan is the latest one. So Product Plan is a great way to keep everyone up to date on the current plan. It's really a new way of visually planning and communicating your strategy, and we look at it as the single source of truth for the product plan. It's really a fast and easy way to get executives and stakeholders and everyone else on the same page, and helps you look good while you do it. So the Product Plan is an easy to use tool. So if you haven't already signed up for a trial, you're welcome to sign up for a trial, get a 30-day trial, and begin using it right away. So this is a visual drag and drop tool. So we can begin building our product roadmap very quickly and adding in information to our roadmap. And then, of course, as that information changes, everyone that I've shared the roadmap with also gets that information. So it's even though it's easy to use drag and drop tool, it's very powerful. And Product Plan is actually three different areas. There's the roadmap area that I'm showing to you now. There's also the parking lot, which is the future opportunities section. So this is the area where you would capture some of those future initiatives that you might want to include on your roadmap in the future. We also have the planning board, and this is the prioritization tool that you can use to help score items for future use. But we'll start with the roadmap, and we'll show you how to build the roadmap with Product Plan. So these items that I'm adding to the roadmap right now we call them bars, and these are more like strategic initiatives. These might be, if you're using Agile, these might be at the epic level. So these are big items that you might want to include on your roadmap. And then we also have this item called a container, and a container is a great way of grouping items together that are similar. So I can just simply drag and drop these items into the container, and then these all roll up. So the container is a good way of showing a release, or maybe items that constitute a theme. And if I'm sharing my roadmap with executives, for example, it's this theme level that they would be concerned about. And of course, they can just simply open that up, drill into the information, and get the information they need. So we also have a milestone feature, and a milestone is a great way of capturing a specific date or an event on the roadmap that's date driven. So I've just added this milestone here, and you can use milestones to represent releases, maybe a conference that's coming up. And just like everything else in Product Plan, it's just drag and drop. So I can move this Q2 release here to a single swim lane and or to the entire roadmap, and then those will be added. That'll be added onto the roadmap. So you can see that I have my Q2 release onto this infrastructure roadmap. So it's a very fast way of creating a product roadmap. So the structure of the roadmap is very flexible. So let's start with the time frame up here. So right now I'm showing my roadmap on a quarterly basis. So you can see that I have 1 year roadmap. It's my 2015 roadmap. This is Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. And I can easily change that in settings. So I can create a different timeline style if I want. So some of our customers, they might want to show their roadmap on a monthly basis, maybe a sprint basis if you're using Scrum or some other agile development process. And let's go ahead and change this to a monthly basis. I also have a display grid that I can put on there. So I'll put in a display grid, which are thin gray lines that appear on your roadmap, which help for visually aligning your roadmap items. And the roadmap items also snap to that grid as well. I can easily change the date of the roadmap. So in this case here, my roadmap starts January 1st, 2015, but I can change that to any other date that I want. I have an end date here of the end of the year of 2016. So this is a 2-year product roadmap, and I'm showing 12 months at a time in my roadmap. So and then I can also change my effort type. So the effort type could be t-shirt sizing, small, medium, large, or it could be a numeric sizing as well. So the nice thing about Product Plan is that rather than using this like a PowerPoint presentation where I create a single roadmap per roadmap that I want to share out, I can use one single roadmap for different audiences. So if I were sharing out this roadmap, if I wanted to share this out with my engineering team, I might not want this to be a 2-year roadmap. I might want it to be a 3-month or perhaps a 6-month roadmap. So I can very quickly change the roadmap on the fly. And then anything that was before or after that is saved in the database. So I can later come back to my roadmap and expose those items in the database. So it's very powerful that way. So right now I've changed my product roadmap to be monthly. So you can see that that very quickly changed. I now have my monthly grid lines. I can easily add items to the roadmap. And in this example here, my roadmap items are exactly 1 month long and snap nicely to that grid. So when I'm creating my roadmap, I create swim lanes. It's these large white items here, and I can very easily add new lanes onto my roadmap. So I just simply drag and drop a new lane onto the roadmap. I can edit that roadmap name. Or we're going to call this a new lane, number 5 rather. Okay, so these lanes can represent really anything I want them to represent. It can represent a different product line. It can represent a product category. It can represent the team that is working on it. It can represent the product manager that's working on it. It can represent different states of being. So, for example, if I'm using a Kanban method for my roadmap, I can create one swim lane that is under consideration, another swim lane that's in development, another swim lane that is completed, and so on. So this is a good way of, it's flexible enough that I can create the roadmap that makes sense for my organization. Okay, good. So we do have a question here, and I want to make sure and address this. Is it possible to show dependencies between different items on the roadmap? And yeah, there are a number of different ways that you can represent dependencies. So dependencies can be represented through color coding. So in this example here, my legend is based on strategic goals. So if I'm creating an executive-facing roadmap, they really care about how these initiatives tie back to the corporate goals. But I can also create connections between items using different kinds of color coding. You can use color coding to represent status, maybe vertical markets, maybe particular technologies, and so on. So it's flexible that way. So that's one way of showing dependencies. Another way of showing dependencies is with our tagging feature. So let me go ahead and dive into the details a little bit here and show you some of the ways that you can use the information that you can capture. So with the details screen, I can create a new initiative. So we're gonna call this a mobile app. and we're going to add in a description here. So we have an iPhone app, and you can add in, feature names or a list of features, things like that. I can tie in my strategic importance, and it can be text-based. I can put in a number here if I can actually assign a dollar value to it. I can show a percentage complete, and the nice feature about the percentage complete is that it gives a thermometer view for my roadmap items. So you can see that color shading changes as my percentage complete changes. My effort level, I can tie that back to the effort level that I've assigned, which is in this case t-shirt sizing. I can tie it back to my legend. So in this case here, we're going to call this a mobile initiative because I'm working on an iPhone app. We also have tags. So tags are a nice way of creating dependencies. So I might be able to group items together with similar characteristics, or so I can categorize items. So in this example here, I can type in my product manager's name, which her name is Sue Shimada, or maybe I can tie it together for a particular vertical market. So maybe I do things in the medical industry. I have a product line in the medical industry, so I can tag it with medical. I can add in notes. Okay, and then if I have Jira integration enabled, which only takes about 5 minutes to enable the Jira integration, I can search for an existing epic that's out there, that's already in Jira, and this is searching through Jira, and I can make a connection to this epic that's out there. And then I can also put in links. So I can add links to prototypes and mock-ups. If I have a list of customer interviews or maybe a product requirements document, I can add links to that. And then of course I can comment on the items, and anyone that I've shared the roadmap with can comment as well, because this is a collaborative tool. So now I've created this new item for a mobile app, and so now when I share out my roadmap, if I share it out with editors, they get this editor's view of the roadmap, but my viewers actually get a really nice, pretty presentation view of my roadmap items. So when they click on my roadmap items, they're getting this really nice presentation view. We think of ProductPlan as a communication tool for first and foremost. And so it's important to have something that's very compelling, that looks nice, that my executives can easily digest at a glance and get to the information that they need, that help me tell the story that I want to tell. So getting back to the question about dependencies, with our filter feature, you can actually filter the items based on my tags. So in this example here, if I want to look at every item on the roadmap that Betty Sue, or let's see, we use Sue Shimada first. So let's look at every item that Sue is responsible for. So now I can winnow down my list, and I'm going to let me just go ahead and close these milestones out so you can see the roadmap a little bit better. So I can easily collapse these milestones. So now I'm looking at every item that Sue Shimada is responsible for on the roadmap. Now, if I'm coming into a meeting with Sue and we're going to talk about her roadmap items, I can actually just create a PDF of that or an image file. So I can use our export feature to create PDFs or PNG or actually spreadsheets. And so now we can create these customized views of the roadmap based on the items that are tagged within that. So that's one way of showing dependencies. Okay. So I hope that answered your question about different dependencies. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off filtering. And while I'm on this screen, you can filter the roadmap based on lanes. So I can actually eliminate certain lanes from my view. I can filter it by the legend. So I'm going to select everything, and let's go ahead and just show everything that's mobile related and so on. So it's a very fast way of creating these different customized views for conversations. Okay, good. So I do want to mention that nice thing about ProductPlan is because this is a presentation tool, I can very quickly put this into presentation mode. I can hide my sidebar, and now I'm looking at something that's very close to a PowerPoint presentation. But it's different than a PowerPoint presentation because I can drag and drop these items. I can go in and I can edit these items. So this is it's much more powerful than a PowerPoint presentation or a static Excel spreadsheet that I need to go back to my desk and edit after my meeting. Okay, so now I'd like to talk a little bit about sharing of the roadmap. I'm going to turn off all of my filtering here. Okay. So I can go ahead and I can go ahead and share my roadmap here in 3 different ways. So the first way is by sharing with an explicit email address. I can share with individual people in my organization on a view-only basis or on a view and edit basis. So one note about the product plan licensing is that I can actually, these licenses for viewers, those are free. So I can share this throughout my entire company and it doesn't cost me anymore. Now, if I share it out with view and edit, another product manager, for example, if I shared this with them, they could collaborate on this roadmap with me. So we can both be in product plan, we can both be editing the items, sharing it out to our stakeholders and so on. This does require another product plan license. So they would need to have a license. The third way of sharing a roadmap is with our private link feature. So I can, if you're familiar with Google Documents, this is very similar. So I can generate an optional link that I can then share out with a wide group. And that group could be my marketing department, it could be my sales team, it could be the entire company if I wanted to. Now, a lot of our customers, they use intranets and wikis within the organization. So they might have product department pages. And a lot of our customers are actually embedding this private link onto their product pages to give their stakeholders self-service access to the roadmap. So the product plan roadmap looks really nice when you embed it into a SharePoint page, a Google Sites page, a Confluence page, and so on. So it's a really great way of sharing this out and making it really easy for people to get access to that live roadmap. I've already showed you the exporting, and so I'd like to move on to the versioning. There are some companies that want to create archives of their roadmap, and the version feature is a great way of doing this. So I can create a snapshot of my roadmap as it is at this point in time. So I simply create the version, and then Product Plan captures those versions throughout time. And versions are a nice way of archiving. They're also a good way of creating kind of that sanctioned roadmap that you might want to share out. So if you want to share out your sanctioned roadmap that every month or every quarter, you can do that with the version feature. And that way, when I've created that sanctioned view, so this is the view that I created last month, and I might share this out with my stakeholders. In this example here, I've actually, at the time, I didn't have dates across my roadmap. And that's a nice way of sharing out my roadmap with people that I don't want to necessarily promise dates to. For example, customers. So I can share out my roadmap with customers, partners, or even the sales team. And then they're not in a position where they're, getting they're not being overpromised dates that I can't deliver. But what I've done here is I've created the roadmap, and people can still click on this information. They can get the information they need from this sanction view, but they can't change anything. So this is a view-only version of my roadmap. Okay, good. The next thing that I'd like to do is move on to the master plan feature. So with the master plan feature, I can create a compilation of roadmaps. So in this example here, I've clicked out to my roadmaps page, and I can see all of the roadmaps that are shared with me, and I can see different master plans that are available to me. So in this example here, I'm opening up a master plan that had, let's see, 4 different roadmaps that are consolidated together. So in this example here, I have a sprint roadmap, I have a different product roadmap, an IT roadmap, and so on. And the nice thing about the master plan is that even though I have 4 different roadmaps, those 4 roadmaps don't have to have the same timeline style, the same characteristics. They don't have to have the same legend, but I'm still aggregating those together. And with the master plan, I can set a default time frame across the top. So in this example here, my sprint roadmap, if I look at that sprint roadmap that's underneath it, you can see that it's on a sprint basis. Right? But when I'm viewing it in the master plan, you can see that I'm now looking at it on a quarterly basis. So I can create different master plans for different audiences. And in this example here, I might create a master plan for my executive team. And the executive team, they probably think about initiatives on a quarterly basis. So I can now create that master plan for my executive team, present this in my executive meeting, and I'm looking across my entire portfolio. So, and of course, as I'm drilling into my master plan items, I'm getting that nice presentation view. Okay. Okay, good. So I do want to pause here before I start talking about the parking lot and planning board and see if there are any other questions that we have. Ian, do we have any other questions that have popped up about master plans or anything else?
It doesn't look like we have any questions right now, but keep them coming.
Okay, great. So I'm going to talk for a minute about, in the last few minutes, um, about planning using product plan. So product plan is a great way of showing your product roadmap of what you've already planned, but it's also a great way of figuring out what you're going to build. So with our parking lot feature, you can plan future initiatives. So you can add items as you think of them. These are the big features that you might want to have in the future. So consider this to be not your development backlog, but maybe more of an opportunity backlog. So as you add the items into the backlog, you can rearrange them. You can add information on the fly. Okay, and as you do that, these items you're capturing the information, and then when you're ready, you can simply drag and drop these items onto the roadmap. Okay, so we're sticking with that easy drag and drop method. So you just simply drag and drop from the parking lot onto the roadmap. Now, if I didn't want this on the roadmap, or maybe I want to replace something that's already on the roadmap, I simply right click on it and click move back to parking lot. Okay, and that item's back in my parking lot. So the planning board is, as I mentioned, a nice way of scoring items, and but it's more than that. It's really a framework for you to have a discussion with your team about what's important. So the planning board looks at benefit versus cost. So as a product manager, as somebody that's evaluating opportunities for the future, you want to look at what's important from a benefit standpoint and what's important from a cost standpoint. And that's the matrix that you use, whether in your head or in product plan, to evaluate opportunities. So, and this is all customizable. So maybe growth is not important for my company. Maybe it's revenue. So now I can just change these columns on the fly, and you can actually have an unlimited number of columns or as few columns as you want. And so you figure out what's important to you from an organizational standpoint, both on the benefit side and the cost side. And then you assign a weighting to each one of these. So maybe these items are of equal weight across the board, or maybe something's more important than another thing. So maybe revenue is very important to my organization, and customer satisfaction is perhaps not as important. So I can adjust the weighting, and the weighting can be anything that you want. And then product plan, based on this information, derives a possible score. And in this example here, my maximum possible score for any one item is 140. And again, that scoring can be anything that you want. If I wanted to, I can create scoring that adds up to 100, or in this example here, 140. And then what I do is I select items to put onto the planning board. And these items come from either the parking lot or the planning board. And once the items are there, and I'm not necessarily moving the items from the parking lot or the planning board, but rather I'm having them temporarily appear in the planning board. And then I go through a scoring process. And my scores are based on a 1 through 5 basis, with 5 meaning high benefit or high cost, and 1 meaning low benefit or low cost. So as you can see, if I'm evaluating this opportunity here, the opportunity is called measuring module. And if I believe that this opportunity has high benefit across the board, so I give it 5s, and it's really low cost from a development standpoint, from a support standpoint, from a manufacturing standpoint, so this is high benefit, high cost, I'm going to arrive at the maximum score. So this is a nice way of helping guide the team through that benefit versus cost calculation. And of course, I can sort these items. And if the item is not already on the roadmap, I can just pick it up and drag and drop it onto the roadmap. So, with opportunities, anything that, of course, this is not a real world situation, but anything that has this tremendous benefit and this low of cost, this is low hanging fruit for me to evaluate and put on the roadmap. So, and with that, we're almost done with the webinar, and I just want to make sure and save some time for questions. So we'll hang out here for a few minutes, and while we're waiting for questions to come in, I can show a few other items here that would be helpful for building your roadmap. The first item is that I can right-click on these items, and I've already showed you that you can move items to the parking lot. You can also duplicate items. So if I want to build a roadmap very quickly, I can easily duplicate items. I can also set things as set the default style. So if I believe that, or if I want every opportunity that I add to the roadmap to be 1 month long in green, I can make that the default style. And then any new opportunity that I drag in here is going to be 1 month long in green. So if I want to create a nice linear roadmap, I can very easily do that and create something that looks really nice.
Looks like we have a question here.
Yeah.
Do all changes and entries get saved as you enter them?
Oh, that's a great question. And the answer is yes. So as I'm there's no quote unquote saving that needs to be done. Everything that I'm doing here is saved in real time. So that's one of the benefits of a tool like ours is that if I'm making changes to the roadmap and I lose power or lose my connection, those items are saved. Product and let me just point out the product plan saves them securely. So we use industry standard SSL. This is bank level security. And so, product plan takes confidentiality very seriously. And so we've built in quite a bit of security into this. So you can be confident that the privacy and security of your roadmap information will remain intact. Okay, good. We'll keep the questions coming in the last couple of minutes here. And the other feature that I'll point out is that I can take one of these bars and I can convert it to a container. So after I convert it to a container, I can then drag and drop initiatives into it. So as you can see, it's very easy to keep my roadmap up to date, and then easily share that out with people. And then one final item I'll mention, which is the Jira integration. I already pointed out how to connect one of these items to an existing Jira epic, but it's also possible to push initiatives from Product Plan into Jira. So in this example here, let's come up with a new product, and maybe it's a new, let's say it's our Android app that we'll be developing. And let's go ahead and save that Android app. Okay, so I have this new Android app on my roadmap. I'm going to go ahead and color code it orange because those are my mobile apps. And did you see that I can just drag and drop colors directly off the legend to color items quickly? And we don't have our Android app in Jira yet. So what I can do is I can click Add to Jira, and then this pulls up all of my Jira projects. And then I can create my Jira epic directly from within Product Plan. So I choose my issue type. Anything that Jira requires is also required here in Product Plan. I can add in my man days that I want. I can add in my due date for this, and my my Android app is going to actually take longer than a couple of months. So we're going to shoot for the end of July and put in a description here. Okay, and now I'm creating that in Jira. And now my link to Jira is created, and I can click on that link. And of course, I'm drilling out to Jira for the details. And this is a brand new epic that I've created in Jira. And so obviously there aren't issues here, bugs, things like that. So if this were the real world, I would actually see quite a number of items in here. But I think you get the point that I can easily connect the big picture of Product Plan with the details within Jira. While you're on the line, if you're not already a Product Plan customer, you can sign up for a free trial at productplan.com. And you can actually purchase Product Plan directly from within the app. Just click your name in the upper right corner, and then that takes you to our billing page, and then you can see the different plans that are available. Plans start as low as month-to-month, $29 per month. And then there are volume discounts for our team plans, which include additional administrative features such as transferring roadmaps between different product managers, and so on. So the team plans are actually more robust and include some additional features. So feel free to ask questions about that as well. And with that, thank you very much.